We all know they colluded 18 months ago to keep this information from the American people in the run-up to our most important election, the presidential election. You had legacy media, you had big tech, you had the Democrat Party, and of course, maybe most importantly, you had 51 former intel officials sign the letter that said this has all the earmarks of Russian disinformation. All that proved to be false. I think actually Mike made a great point. The big question I think right now, Harris, is why are the mainstream press, why are they talking about this now? I mean, remember last week, Wednesday of last week, the Washington Post did two long stories, one at 11, one at 11:04. Two 8-page stories, 4 minutes apart, about the Hunter Biden laptop being real. Why all of a sudden is there this focus on now that what we all knew back then was the truth, that the laptop was real, the eyewitnesses were real, the emails were all real, the only thing fake back then was the news. So why all of a sudden are they coming clean? That's, I think, a key question that we need to get the answer to.
Well, the timing of it, you know, just on the heels of the announcement of another investigation into him. And what do you think of Mark Levin, our Fox News host, saying this? We need a federal special counsel. Do we?
Yeah, I think we probably do. I mean, remember, Joe Biden said in the debate in the presidential election that my son made no money from companies with ties to China. Well, there are 4.8 million reasons why that is wrong. He made $4.8 million. Some of that went to his uncle. Who knows if 10% went to the big guy, went to Joe Biden, as that now somewhat famous email that was uncovered a year and a half ago. So I do think this requires a special kind of focus. We'll see if that's where we can go, if in fact the American people put us in the majority, or maybe the Justice Department will do that now. Who knows? I'm curious about all these things. Why the focus now? Should there be a special counsel? What is really? Some people have speculated that there's some indictments coming. I don't know if that's the case, but that would, I guess, maybe explain why there's such this focus from the mainstream press on this story today.
Potentially indictments, potentially more information that's more damning than what's already been reported out there. And when you hear the White House say, "Well, it's up to the DOJ to figure out whether or not a law was broken or any laws were broken," the president doesn't believe that there were. The bigger picture in all of this is it's really not even about the Bidens. Like, let's just set them as just a bunch of people who are being looked at right now. And let's get to the crux of who the man at the center is. It's about the president, whether or not he was compromised.
Yeah, no, exactly. I mean, again, the email that Tony Bobolinsky, the eyewitness who was a part of this arrangement early on, the email 10% for the big guy, he says that refers to, then Vice President Joe Biden, or former Vice President Joe Biden, now President Biden. That to me is the concern. I think that's the concern Senator Grassley was raising. That's probably the concern I think the American people had. And again, that was kept from us, kept from we the people, the electorate, in the run-up to our most important election, the election for President of the United States, Commander-in-Chief of the United States.
Right. And as I said, it wouldn't matter who the president is. At this point, it is President Biden, and he has said a certain thing, and now they have to see if that certain thing is true. Fox News contributor Michael Goodwin writes this in the New York Post: Joe Biden flying too close to the sun. He makes this point: if Hunter is indicted, it's hard to see how his father's presidency survives. That's because any indictment of the son, no matter how carefully drawn, will inevitably implicate the father. Congressman Jordan, your take.
Well, we'll have to see what's coming from the Justice Department. You saw that in the story last week in the Post, the $4.8 million, a bunch of that money went to Hunter Biden's uncle, James Biden. So,
yes.
and there was all this talk about this connection, the entire family involved. So we'll just have to see. And we'll have to see what the Justice Department comes forward with. I don't know if that's the reason, if there's indictments coming. I don't know if that's the reason why you saw these stories. Again, we'll just have to see what happens with this But this Justice Department, by the way, is the same Justice Department that targeted parents that we have all kinds of concerns with. So again, we'll have to wait and find out.
Yeah, you mentioning the uncle, that's why I said, the Bidens, plural, put them aside and look at the office of the presidency and what's at stake in terms of national security. Fear is the word that's being used, different from a concern, that there is a huge wave of illegal immigrants to come across our border suddenly like we've never seen before after the White House will put into play what it has already announced, that the end of Title 42, the COVID border restriction, happens next month. House Minority Leader Kevin McCarthy went after the move. by tweeting this. President Biden is hell-bent on destructive border policies that endanger our country and communities. House Republicans will continue to fight for a secure border. That's why I will be leading another trip to our southern border later this month. Again, Minority Leader Kevin McCarthy. And three states are suing to stop this from happening. Arizona, Louisiana, Missouri say lifting the policy is unlawful and will have a devastating impact on states. I want to come straight to Congressman Jordan to get your reaction to all of it.
Yeah. Well, I think this could lead to the worst border crisis ever, and we've already had a chaotic situation for the past 14 months. And you don't have to take my word for it. Take the Democrat senators from Arizona. They've encouraged the White House not to make this move, not to end Title 42, which is the one thing that is helping us stem this unbelievable tide of illegal immigrants. Over 2 million in 14 months, 8,000 a day, a 500% increase from what we were having a year and a half ago. So that is how serious this is, which just reinforces what I've said now for a long time. This is deliberate. This is intentional. The Biden administration has abandoned the border because we have seen month after month increase numbers of illegal immigrants entering our country. This has to be intentional. And this is just a final step, it seems to me, of just a completely wide open southern border. And that's why you got 3 attorney generals suing and 2 United States senators who happen to be Democrats from the state of Arizona saying this is the wrong thing to do.
Yeah, and it sort of is a head scratcher as to, and look, the science is showing, and I want to point to Wyoming and other states in our republic where ICU numbers are falling down, almost approaching zero. I mean, we are very blessed in this fight against COVID in the United States right now, but we know other countries have not been that way. So as they flood our border, what happened to COVID? I thought this administration was focused on this, and at the same time, they're asking for more money for COVID.
Right. Which is it? Do you need more money to deal with COVID, or is there's no COVID, we're just going to open up the border more? So, again, one of just crazy policies we've seen from this administration. I think, frankly, the worst administration, certainly in my lifetime. It makes no sense, and the American people understand it. And that's why I do believe, Lord willing, that there's going to be a big change come November, and the American people are going to put Republicans back in charge.